Hello guys, how you guys doing? This is Omar Serna and welcome back to FID by Omar. Today I'm gonna be working on a project that I have already started, and I have just some changes from the client, and I just wanna guide you through this, and so you can see what items you might need whenever you design kind of a lease space plaza, and what is it that you need to think about and stuff like that. So in this case, there was an existing building here. There's an existing building here, and this is a meat market. So what I did, he wanted to expand over, and wanted well, one of the reasons he wanted to expand was so he can make his store bigger, and since he has kind of a kitchen in there's some over here. There's some gas pumps in here, so people can come and get their breakfast taco, whatever, in the morning, whatever, or during lunch, whatever. So he wanted to expand, and so he wants to put some tables in here and still make it like a kind of a convenience store, meat market, and stuff like that. So we added about 40 feet, or we added 40 feet into that existing building, and then he wanted to see how we can lay out some lease spaces. Let me show you the site so you can see what is it that we are working with. So this was the from this line towards this line, that was existing lot, or the existing building, existing property that we had, where this existing building is right now. So he bought this other property, which is right next to it, and he's adding this building right next to it, and this is how the best, I guess, the best way to lay it out. I thought of at one time, he wanted to make it 2 stories, but after looking at the first design, he decided not to, and just to have more units on the first floor, or just on one floor. And these lease spaces are like kind of like that way, people can have their hair salon here, or an office. There might be some kind of offices, or whatever people might need. So what is it that you need in here? Mainly this is a small town. This is a small town in South Texas, so you don't need like a big space. I know that you might be thinking, hey, those lease spaces are very small, and I mean, I'm not gonna go to a plaza that is very small, but you have to think about what are you where are you building it, right? So if it's like a big city, yeah, of course the lease spaces might be bigger, way bigger than this ones. But this is a small town, like very small town. So um, they're not gonna need a lot of space here. So basically, it's just like I said, like for people that gonna cut hair, or just an office here, or some other people might be renting it so they can sell some, like a small restaurant or something like that. And one of the things so the space that I made is 20 by 29.8. In reality, so 20 to 30 feet, it's a normal space to rent in this type of or this small town. And one of the things that you need to think of is, how do you want to construct this? I don't want to make these walls bearing walls. Why? Because for some reason, let's say a client comes and says, you know what, I want these two buildings, or I'm sorry, these two lease spaces. So it's very easy just to break this wall and just rent these two spaces, or three spaces or whatever, just in case they wanted to expand or whatever. So what I'm thinking is that I'm gonna make the bearing points on from the outside to outside. And right now, this building was already a CMU building, so I kept the same construction all over the place. All the exterior walls are or just 8-inch CMU, and then the interior, they're just gonna be 3 and 5/8 metal studs. Very simple. And what I'm thinking of, because this is a huge span from here to here, or I mean, it's pretty big. This will be um, just um, steel joist trusses, pre-engineered steel joist trusses. And later on, once we start doing section stuff like that, I'll show you how to do all of that. But just to give you a rule of thumb, and just so whenever you start drawing something, you start thinking about elevation, heights, and section, how to construct, and all of that. Even though you are still doing a preliminary, this is just a preliminary right now. So, but you gotta be thinking about how are you gonna do that. So, just to give you a rule of thumb, for the joist, every more or less, the once you submit it to the steel guys, they're gonna tell you exactly what's the dimensions of the steel joist. But rule of thumb is, it's about a foot. It's about a foot every 10 feet or something like that. So in this case, since I'm spanning 30 30 feet all the way, 32 feet of it, 31 foot 4 across. The joist might be about 31 inches thick or deep, 31 inches deep. So that's how more or less you can think about whenever you're designing something. So it's about 30 inches or so, and the engineer is gonna specify the actual height of those joists, but just so you can get an idea. Whenever you're drawing walls that are block, make sure the dimensions you're doing, they fall into block dimensions. For example, from here, hopefully I did it right, but for example, from here to here, that's 102 with 8 inches. That's a 8-inch block dimension. Or it can also be a 0.5, because you can break, or you can cut a block, a 16-inch block, you can cut it in half. So yeah, make sure those, whenever you doing blocks, make sure it always ends up being in block dimensions. You don't 123. Yeah. So right now, what I need to do, he wants to have more units. And right here in the front, I had put trash in here, but uh, on this side, there's already a trash compartment here, which I'm not showing at this time, but there's an existing trash compartment here. So he's saying that they can use this trash now. He's also saying that he's gonna buy another lot over here on the back, which I need to get those dimensions. We're gonna have more parking over here, so we can put another trash if in case we need another one. So what is it that we did? There's a there he wants to have like kind of a party lease space here, kind of like a ballroom, but not huge. It's just a space where so they can have parties, they can have weddings, they can have quinceañeras, they can have, maybe even like a religious service or whatever. But it's a pretty good space where they can have ball area here. But or he wants to make it longer and a little bit narrower. So the first things I'm gonna do is remove this parking because I need to add more units over here, or more lease spaces over here. So whenever you're drawing, I have everything in X reference. So this one is an X reference of a site plan. So if I click on the floor plan, you're gonna see that this is a X reference block from the floor plan. So later on, if you don't know how to do this, I'll make some videos why is it necessary and how to do it. But at this time, I mean, I'm just showing you the layout and stuff like that. So let's talk about the floor plan here. I have a layer that is called area, which I want to turn off. And all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna copy the same things or I'm just gonna copy the same build or the same lease space that I had over here. I'm just gonna copy it over again. I did it wrong. Wait. Sorry about that. I did it wrong. All I need to do is copy this and put it over here. There you go. And as you can see here, I have the 8-inch wall, and then I have about 2 inches in here. Well, I drew it as 2 inches. So you don't want to draw all the sheetrock. You don't want to draw, all those little stuff. But uh, why? Because when you're gonna dimension to structure. Why? Because that's the first thing. It's gonna be the first thing is gonna be built, and whoever is framing or building or constructing, well, they need to know the exact dimension of where to put the foundation, where to put the walls, where to put, all the partitions and stuff like that. But the reason I added this here is because we are going to put like a resilient channel in here, and sheetrock and stuff like that, and so it does make a difference in here because it takes about 2 inches or a little bit less, yeah, a little bit more than 2 inches, but right now I just rounded it up to 2 inches, and that makes a difference on the once you put 2 inches over here and 2 inches over here, where that's 4 inches. So that makes a difference on this preliminary dimension. That is the only reason why I added this line inside, because it does takes a lot of space. Why didn't I add the other line in here like sheetrock? Well, because it's only gonna be 5/8 of sheetrock, so it won't make that much difference in there. um, but it does make it on a CMU wall. Okay, so we added two more spaces, so that's gonna be 7. This is gonna be 8, and this is gonna be 9. 9. And this might be a little bit wider. Why? Because like I said, I want to keep all these dimensions to be divisible by CMU blocks. So it's 164. And if you didn't know, you have a calculator here in your AutoCAD. All you need to do is put CAL, and that's for calculator. So 164 feet divided by 8 inches, or you can even say divided by 16 inches if you want, because that's actually the distance of or the length of a CMU block. So that's 123 blocks there. So perfect. It just makes life easier. Now I know this one is gonna be a little bit bigger, but it's okay. It's 20 foot 2. It's okay. We can still mark it as 20 feet wide. All right. Well, something that I did wrong here. Actually, this is supposed to say 29.8 by 20 feet, right? Because that's the way you read it. You always read horizontal and then on vertical. So this is supposed to say 29.8 by 20 feet, right? Like that. Whenever you, since this is just a preliminary plan, so whenever you are presenting a preliminary plan to your client, you don't need to dimension the whole plan. You don't have to do that. They don't want to see all those dimensions. They don't care for all those dimensions, and if you put like if you start dimensioning everything, they just gonna ask you, so what's the size of the lease space, and that's all they want to know. They don't want to know all the dimensions when you're doing a preliminary dimension. It's different when you're gonna be just when you're gonna do a construction plan. That's different because then on the final plan you do have to have a full dimensions and stuff like that. Okay, so but when you're presenting it to a client, all you need to do is have just preliminary dimensions. That's all. hmm And I do like to have an overall dimension. Why? Because it gives you an idea of how much space it's gonna utilize, or it gives you a perspective of where to put it and stuff like that. So in this case, okay, so let's see. So I added another two units in here. Like this lease spaces, all you gonna need is gonna have a restroom for sure. You're always gonna have a restroom, all right? So it's good to have a handicap restroom, right? So and you can like I'm in Texas, but if and so in Texas is TAS, Texas Accessibility Standards, and you can start reading on that, or the dimensions that you require for a toilet and for a sink and all this stuff. Now, it's very similar to the ADA, that's very similar. So basically, TAS adopted ADA, but just added some other small stuff in there. But reality, both of them are pretty much the same thing. So it's just for handicap, and you need to make sure everything is handicap when you drawing something commercial. So all doors need to be 3 foot wide. All the you have to have a 5 foot radius, so the wheelchair can be inside. And these restrooms have some other spaces in here. Like I think it's like 56. Don't quote me on that, but I need to check it out. But I since I already done a lot of restrooms like this, I just copied it from another project since I know it works. Once I start detailing the plan, I'm gonna do a blow up, and I'm gonna show all those spaces that TAS in my case, because I'm in Texas, or handicaps required. Okay, so it's good to have an exit door on the back, but right now you're gonna see I'm gonna do something else in here. Let's see, this ballroom is 72 by 90, so he wants it to be 64 or so by 100. All right, so let's check this out. So let's put 100 feet from this line over like that, and let's move that here. Let's close this. Now let's check the dimension. Let's check the distance. Let's see if this is a block dimension all the way to here. 265 with 8 inches, perfect. It works out fine. You might say, why does it have to be a block dimension? Can I just make it whatever dimension I want? Well, Yes, you can make it whatever dimension you want, but if you wanna make life easier for your contractors, um, yeah, you're not just drawing stuff, right? You're not just drawing lines. You have to be thinking about material and cost and all this stuff. If you think about all those stuff, people are gonna keep on coming to you. If you don't think about stuff like that, then people might be getting mad at you and might not come back to you. Why am I saying this? Well, because um, you, like, for example, if I, like, right here that I'm doing block dimensions, you're gonna make sure that you use the whole block versus, let's say you do a weird dimension that is not block dimension. Then first of all, whoever is laying out the block, it's gonna have to cut a block to not to the middle of the block, which that's the normal thing to do. Cut the block right in the middle. So the block measures 8 inches by 16 inches. So they can cut a block at 8 inches, and that's perfect. But then, if you have a weird dimension, they might have to cut a block, um, like let's say you like less than 8 or more than 8, whatever. So then right there you just wasted the other half of the block. They can use that other half of the block because you already broke it more than 8 inches or more than half of that block. So that's why it is very important that you draw this to block dimensions, right? Okay, so we got 100 feet right there. Perfect. Now we need to make it about 64 feet wide from here to here. Okay, let's move this block wall and see if that works out perfectly for block dimension. And I'm not saying that all the time. I mean, it's gonna, it's a perfect world, right? If you do it all the time, right? Sometimes it's just gonna have to you're gonna have to live with it sometimes. But as much as possible, you as a designer, you as a drafter, you have to make sure that you dimension, I mean, that you do it as much as possible as block dimensions in this case, because this is block, right? But I mean, sometimes it's just not gonna work because of the property, because of the layout, because of the square feet that they want, whatever it is. Sometimes it's just not gonna work, right? So, but I'm just giving you what's the best case scenario. So let's see if this works out fine from here to here. Since I already this 68.4. 68.4. If you don't know if that's block dimension, all you need to do is cal on your computer 68 foot 4 inches divided by 8 inches, which is a block dimension, and that's gonna give you 102.5 blocks. You might say, oh, it's a 0.5. It's perfect, because remember, a half a block is a good block. A 3/4 block is not a good block. A 1/8 of a block is not good, but a half a block is a good block. You can use it again. So you're gonna have 102.5 blocks. So that works out perfectly. Okay, now I'm seeing that this room, it got bigger, and I only have 2 restrooms here. I made a food staging, but for some reason the client doesn't want it. I think we do need it. I would like to have it. Like if I was gonna rent that space, I would like to have a food staging with the sink so they can wash cups or whatever if in case they drop something out. This space is more like you bring your own stuff, right? So you cater, you can have a big meeting, something like that. You cater, and you bring. They just bring their own food, but I don't know why he took it off. But I might put it back in and ask him why does he doesn't want it, or you know. Now, these restrooms are too small for this huge space. These restrooms are not gonna work anymore because this is a very big space. So this might have. Let's see how many square feet do we have. So and you can lay it out by tables if you want. You know, I might do that to space out just so they know that how many tables they can put in there. So we got 6,400 square feet in there. So let's see how this works. 6,400 divided by 200. Wait, I did something wrong. 64. Well, let me see. I need to look for my table here, but I mean, just by looking at it, this is you can have maybe about 100 people here, if you, or even more. You can have maybe about 200 people here if you put tables very close to each other. You can have a lot of people here. So one restroom for each is not gonna make it, right? It's not gonna make it at all. So that's one of the things we need to think of. How many people can we fit? And if you go to your IBC book, it's gonna tell you how many do they need, how many restrooms do they need for certain capacity and stuff like that. But um, I'm just gonna go ahead and let me see what do I have here. I'm just gonna copy a restroom that I did somewhere else because I know that that restroom is gonna be enough for these people, and it's probably gonna be too much, but I'm gonna probably take out one restroom from there. And right, and I'll check the, like right now you might be saying, but you don't even like you don't know how many it requires. I'm gonna check all of that. Right now I'm just setting just giving a space here to show to the client, but I'm gonna check how much or how many restrooms do we need, and if we need more than what I drew, then we're gonna add more, but we won't. I think we're gonna need less than this. So in these restaurants were very big, because whatever reason on that project we had them that big. I'm gonna change the layers just to match to what I have right now. I'm gonna make it smaller because these are too big, and I'm gonna have I'm gonna remove some toilets from here. Okay. Hmm. This is weird. They had two sinks. They had two blocks right here. So I'm just gonna remove one so we don't get confused. Okay. So what? I mean, without knowing all those handicap spaces when you open the door and stuff like that, the rule of thumb that always works is if you have a 5 foot radius. Oops. Is if you have a radius 5 foot. Oops. I'm sorry. Not a radius, a diameter. Yeah, there you go. Oh, which I already had it over here. I should have copied it. Okay, so if you have a 5 foot diameter, that's kind of your rule of thumb when you're designing. I mean, you can bring all those spaces for the handicap when you pull the door, when you push the door and stuff like that. That I mean, that's gonna work perfectly. But for when you're kind of in a rush and you just want to start drawing something and you want to present something to your client like really fast, then just draw a circle of a 5 foot diameter, and that is going to take that's going to guide you where not to put a wall and stuff like that. All right. So like for example, I can move this all the way over here, and that should work. So let's see. I'm gonna move it 4 feet. And in reality, these vanities have a what do you call it? A skirt, a slanted skirt. So in reality, this 5 foot circle can actually go inside the vanity, but for my drawing purpose, just so I'm sure that I don't mess up, and you can use this, and when you're drawing, you want to make sure that 5 foot diameter circle is free to spin, and it doesn't touch any walls, right? So what is that? It's actually that's the space that is required for a handicap wheelchair to turn. So that should work. Now another thing is, you notice I took off one of the toilets, and I'm gonna put the stall over here because I want to make the restroom smaller. So the the rule of thumb for the toilet partitions is, if you had 5 feet inside for the handicap, that's also gonna work. That will work for what you need to draw. I mean, for handicap. And like I said, once you detail all this, um, then you're gonna show all those dimensions. Like I have a lot of experience on this, so I know that this is gonna work. If you're not sure that if it's gonna work or not, or if you need more space, and then later on you're like, oh man, I don't have that much space now, I need to make it bigger, and then the hall, the ballroom's gonna get smaller or whatever. If you're doing an office or something, and you're like, man, I just didn't know that once you put all those dimensions are gonna work. It's very easy. All you need to do is go to your, let's put here, uh, you go to I mean right now I'm in Texas, so you put TAS, oops, TAS, let's put Texas, here you go, Texas Disability Standards, and you look for the TAS TDLR. Come on, baby, come on. And here it's gonna give you everything that you need to know about the spaces that is required for handicap. Okay, I know that we as drafters we don't like to read, and but there's some good stuff here that you can read. We It's gonna tell you everything about. Here you go. We like to see drawings, right? So tells you everything. He tells you here the dimensions that you need when you open in the door. So all this, if you have a block of this, that's perfect. You can bring it in. But if you know it, that should be enough, right? And sometimes, let me see, looking for the restroom here so you can see what I'm talking about. Come on. Here you go. And so you see how it says 60 inches by 56. So if you give the space of 60 by 60, that's gonna work perfectly. So there you go. Those are the here goes the stalls. The way you need to set up the stalls. You know, you need to open the door this side or this side. If you're coming from this side, this is where it needs to be and stuff like that. So yeah, that if you need to have if you need more information on that, that's where you get that information. Okay. Um, so let me change this layer to this so everything can be the same. And let me make this smaller because I don't think we need this big of a space. So here, if you leave the space required for handicap is actually 30 inches. If you look at the TAS, 30 inches. So right now we have 36 inches, which is perfect. But if you leave, I always like to leave a little bit more than 30 inches because you never know the, the, the once you start bringing up walls and stuff like that, nothing is perfect, right? So I would like to leave a little bit of space just if in case they mess up with a wall or something. So that's something that you might want to practice too. Like if they tell you I need 30 inches clear, we'll give it 32 inches. Why? Because like once again, you know that you might have, I mean, they might have a problem, or they might move a wall, or they might install something wrong. So just give it a little bit more than what they need. I mean, 2 inches is not gonna hurt anybody. That's only when it says clear, right? So okay, so now you're like, man, this doesn't work because the doors are one. I mean, it's okay. I can fix all of that. That's no problem. I can fix a lot of. First of all, I have 3 toilets and 2 sinks. I mean, 3 toilets and 2 urinals. 2 urinals. But as you know, men go pee a lot, and they hardly go to the toilet. So let's just add another. And if you want to make this 36, is fine. I mean, it's not gonna hurt anybody if this is 36 inches right here. Just in, we can leave it at 36 just in case we need to put a toilet instead of a urinal. Then right here, I can put the vanities over here. The vanity right there. And wash your face right there. Let's see how this works out. Okay. Now in a block wall, let's go ahead and mirror this. In a block wall, this is very important to know. You can have the toilet right against the CMU block, but it is harder to run the pipes and cut the block. Is very hard, and sometimes it doesn't work. So that's why you always have to put like a fur wall to put all your plumbing stuff. So in this case, I'm gonna go with 6 inches. Why? Because that's a dimension of a 6-inch metal studs, so they can run their plumbing inside that wall. Okay. On this side, I'm just gonna put a 5/8 wall, and you don't have to draw it as. I mean, you can if you want to offset 5/8, right? But I'm drawing it as 4 inches, and because when you dimension, you can just gonna dimension to one side of the wall, so it's not gonna hurt anybody if you have it as drawn as 4 inches. But you can. I mean, if you wanna offset it 3.5, that's even better. But I just offset 4 inches. Now, when I'm drawing wood studs, the 3.5, I do kind of like to draw it as 3.5, because once you start dimensioning all the way to the end of the building, that might make a difference. Okay, so let's see. So one of the things that you always want to keep in mind is that you don't want to open the door and see inside of the restroom, right? You don't want to see inside of the restroom. You want to have it blocked, and that's why this is like this, where you open it like that, opposite way. But in this case, I'm gonna put one restroom over here and the other restroom over here. So what I'm going to do is, let me see. Is if I can do this. I want to go in, but I don't want to see. I don't wanna see when I open the door. I don't want people to see inside. So make sure you think about all of that. So let me see if I open the door here. If I open the door here, I'm gonna see that way. If I mirror the door, I'm gonna see this way. If I let me see, what if let me check something out. Okay. And really, if you don't want, you don't even have to put a door in here. Like sometimes, like on the like on the malls and stuff like that, they don't even put doors. So, but I think I do want to have a door because people might get crazy here. They might start drinking and stuff. So you're gonna have to think about all of those things. All right, so let's see. Does it work? Does it not work? What is it going here? This one works. I mean, nobody's gonna see inside, but it just makes this a weird location to put the door. I don't like the way it looks here. Let me see something. If you open the door, you're gonna, I mean, if you're standing right here, for whatever reason, you are going to see whoever's there. What if we mirror this and we put this over here? I think this is gonna be better if we put the wall over here. And yeah. Yeah, I think that's. I mean, if you open the door here, you're not gonna see anybody changing here. And if you wanted to make it even more secure, or more like to block more, all you need to do is just flip the door. So whenever they open the door, you don't. I mean, you're gonna see straight still, but just makes the view a little bit less. Mhm. Okay, I think that's fine. So you walk in through here and you're washing yourself, whatever, nobody's gonna see you. If you're standing right here, you're not gonna see anybody changing. Why? Because this is a pathway to to walk, so nobody's gonna be standing right there. Now, what's this? This is a baby changing station. So I might have to move this wall a little bit down, yeah, like that. Baby's changing station, you might need 30 inches to change. 30 by 48, 30 by 48 space. That's what you need to for a handicapped person. So this might have to be a little bit more over here. So yeah, like that. Perfect. I think that should work. Now all we need to do is mirror this thing, put it right in the middle like that, cut this thing right here, and do the same thing, but now this are toilets, because this will be for a woman. Right there, right there. And this can also be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. We need one more. So these are spaced out 30 inches. I'm gonna be spacing out 32 inches. And that should work. 32. We move this right here. 36 is better. 36 is better. You know what? Let me see what's the dimension that I have here. Divided by 4. Divided by 4, and now I can have a space of let's check it out. It's not tracking it. I don't know why it's not tracking it. Sometimes AutoCAD doesn't want to work with you. Okay, so what I did, I just divided in four, and that's 2 for 10. That's fine. Um,